I'm gonna be honest with all you folks. Tonight's gonna be an interesting one.
I think we've talked a couple times about the Brainworms really coming out in earnest, and
It begins.
I think this is the night that it's really gonna happen.
I want to preface this by saying no, we're not talking about Heike Story again because we weren't able to meet up to watch it. Life is like that sometimes. We still have, so it's postponed until we finish it. But
Soon.
tonight, I brought out the alcohol because I know what we're about to talk about.
Oh boy, and I'm doing this stone sober, so this should be very interesting. I have thoughts and feelings and opinions.
So, before we get started, we might as well introduce today's topic.
What are we talking about, Stross?
Well, last time we talked about Burn the Witch, and that was about 30 minutes of us complaining and being confused. And so many more things. Today, though, we're talking about something we love. Truly love. True love. We're talking about Samurai Warriors, but specifically the last one. Well, technically the last two.
The last, I mean, if you count 4-2, I mean, the last maybe 3, if we're encompassing that.
I mean, I guess. I'm not counting Empires. That one didn't introduce anything new. It was really good,
Yeah.
but for what it is, but...
Empires games don't count.
Well,
They're just there for fun.
Well, sometimes they introduce a new character, and that counts for something.
True. Oh, speaking of introductions, hi, I'm Sardo. This is Stross. Hello, viewers. See that segue?
Yeah.
That was a good segue.
Unintentional. But anyway, today we are talking about Samurai Warriors 5 specifically, and in turn 4 to, I guess...
Compare and contrast.
Yeah. So, I think before we get started, I want to ask you, Sardo, very importantly.
Yes.
Did you like Samurai Warriors 4? And if so, by how much? On the pain scale.
With all my heart. I loved it. Stross, I liked the thing for once. I really, really liked the thing. I liked 4 so much. It is my favorite game in the series. It introduces my favorite man, and that's all I'll say about him. That's all I'll say about yeah, I hear that sip.
Oh no, there's this extra on the lip of the can. That was unintentional.
Oh god, he's fucking talking about Hisahide again.
Yeah, no, that in fairness, it is appropriate. But I too love 4. It is also my favorite. Mostly because it has some of my favorite costumes for each character too that I like.
Yes.
Which is something we will eventually talk about. We won't go into it just yet. But I want to preface this by saying we really liked 4. But when they announced that 5 was coming out and things were going to be a bit different, how did you feel?
To be completely frank, I had kind of a piss baby, it's gonna be bad because it's gonna be different reaction initially. That was my gut reaction. Like, I didn't feel good about it.
I'm gonna say for me, as sort of a contrast, it was I was iffy, but I was willing to let them try it. Because it's the 5th one. These rosters are fucking huge.
Yes.
So parsing it down and being a bit more focused is not a bad idea.
And I'm going to add the caveat that my initial reaction was quite negative because like I didn't like that it was going to be so different. I softened when I'm like, okay, there's some places they could go with this. It's you give it a chance, Yeah.
So for me, like looking on it, was that one of the reasons why we were so iffy, I think, is also this was post Dynasty Warriors 9, which also tried to do something different.
Yes.
and was also not very good. Now, I wanted to say we are talking about Samurai Warriors, the less popular of the two Koei Warrior series that is their thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we should note that Koei still makes good Warriors games. Not usually their own ones, but usually because someone else is paying them to do it and then probably looks over them like a hawk, being like, do it right or else. Usually that's Nintendo, and Nintendo is very dangerous. Don't fuck with Nintendo.
Yeah. When you've got Nintendo holding a knife to your neck, you perform very well.
Shigeru Miyamoto comes to your house with a gun and says, if you don't do it to how we like it, you will die.
And it will be painful and slow. I'm not going to shoot you with this gun.
I'm gonna shoot you with a gun from like 1542. So I might miss. I might take a bit. Don't run. You can't run. But the point is, this more focused idea was, like, in my thought, could have been really good, could have been really bad. And my frame of reference was sort of like their, like, licensed ones, which are usually a bit smaller in size and scale, but also generally really good. Like, you played Hyrule Warriors, right?
I have played Hyrule Warriors. I fucking love Hyrule Warriors.
I do too. I also loved Age of Calamity, which was also really good and weird.
Yes.
And also,
very strange.
And also, was Three Hopes, which was also really good.
Yes.
And the fans loved those ones because everyone's like, wow, these fuck. I like them.
I want to draw a comparison that Koei's Warriors games, they're a bit like somebody who is a phenomenal babysitter but like neglectful with their own children.
a little bit. It's somewhat accurate. I think the best way for us to put it is, when they are being paid to do someone else's stuff, they usually, like, put a little bit more care into it because they understand that it's not their thing.
And they're not working with, like, an 80-something strong cast of characters.
There's no history, I think is a great way to put it.
Yes.
There's no, like, one of the problems with making a Dynasty Warriors or a Samurai Warriors is that if you remove someone, you are removing somebody's favorite, even if that is the least popular character.
You know, somebody out there really loves Han Dong.
Exactly.
It's me. I really love Han Dong.
There is someone who thinks Pong De is the coolest thing. And I say this because I know he's one of the characters that's been removed.
Yeah.
Historically speaking, not recently.
Yeah. It's like you
go on.
And sorry, and there's also the issue of, you mentioned historical, in that if you include somebody and they maybe didn't have a great track record historically, there's some people who are gonna be fucking upsetty spaghetti about it.
The point we're trying to say is one of the biggest problems with the Koei's Warrior stuff or Muso games, if you're going to be that person who uses that terminology, is that you're going to get people who are annoyed when you change anything.
Yes.
And you also end up with roster bloat because of it. Like, Samurai Dynasty Warriors 9 has like 100+ characters in it. And that's insane.
It's fucking massive.
And like, we like a lot of those characters. We want to preface this by saying, you name half that cast, will probably have either a positive or interesting opinion on them. With some of them, we're going to be like, I don't very much care for this one.
We have made several very highly specific tier lists for that entire cast. Multiple times.
One of the things that Sardo has come to understand is if you're friends with me long enough, you eventually run into one of my highly specific weird tier lists. And they are all... Oh, it's not whether you like them or not. It's just, it will happen. Eventually, yes. I will rank characters for something absolutely weird. or stupid, or hilarious, or all of the above, or some combination of the above.
It just happens.
Like the Three Houses weed tier list. That one's technically was not my fault. I was the one who made it. We were already discussing it amongst people. The poker tier list was 100% mine. That one was me. Anyway, point is, we like these characters. So when 5 was announced and it was going to be all Nobunaga, we were like, I don't know.
And for those like not familiar with what 5 did, 5 really restructured things to be kind of a mostly a Nobunaga focused prequel sort of thing. I mean, it got into, you know, the meat and potatoes of everything that happened in the Sengoku period eventually, but this was Nobunaga's kind of start of darkness and why he became who he was, sort of.
Yeah,
a little bit.
A bit. But basically, it followed the Oda Nobunaga's story until his death at Hinoji, which is fine. We want to preface this that we're okay with it.
Nobunaga's a fascinating historical figure,
and he's one of our favorites, so we weren't too mad.
My nephew and I actually once we got into this interesting conversation about kind of like main characters in history, like people who just kind of, you know, and that came up that Nobunaga was a historical main character.
He kind of was. Kind of
like how somebody's like the main character of Twitter for a day.
Or as of recently, the owner of Twitter every day.
Yes.
Mistakes were made.
Nobunaga, yeah.
Would Nobunaga pay for Twitter Blue? No.
No.
No, he wouldn't. But Elon Musk would give him Twitter Blue, which is what he's been doing apparently on Twitter, by the way.
And Nobunaga would be like, I don't want this, fuck off, nerd.
Yes, he would. But the point is that we're trying to make is that Nobunaga being like the central focus really isn't that new to the series. The first game is like that. I would say a lot of the games are like that. Would you say that's fair?
Oh yes, absolutely. I mean, he kind of naturally predisposes himself to a central figure role.
And it makes sense, because when you're the first of 3 unifiers, you kind of get some of that rub.
And just, even from a pure historical standpoint, Nobunaga was a fucking dude.
Yes, he was a man of time.
So you know, it's okay because there's a lot he does. There's a lot happening around him that he kind of causes or makes worse or better, depending on your perspective.
And so them doing the whole it's the Nobunaga story was okay, fine.
Fine, that's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. But this did come with some changes. And now we're going to start talking about the results. You want to sigh a bit louder for the audience there, or are you good with the sigh that you give? There we go. So I think
I can't sigh loud enough.
Yeah, the first problem we had was they changed how everybody looked, which I'm going to say this right now, partially fair, because we were dealing with them in their younger years, so they weren't going to all look like 40-year-old people.
But with that in mind, there was one, and I think you know the one I'm going to talk about.
Hold on, we'll get to her last.
No, that wasn't the one, but anyway.
Like, the first thing they did was they took Nobunaga and they made him... how would you best describe his new look?
He's very, like, he reminds me, like, a tiny bit of, like, if you took Kamina from Gurren Lagann and you, stripped off, like, all of his charisma and you just had, like, kind of a vaguely muscly shonen dude. This is, like, it's Nobunaga's story, but is, like, a shonen anime.
Yeah, I mean,
and like a really mid shonen anime.
Yeah, that's... well, is it more or less mid than the one that the anime that they did make?
It's that.
I watched that and I dropped it because it was so dull.
Oh, Lame.
The Samurai Warriors 4 anime is not good. Don't watch it.
No.
It's not worth it. You think it's gonna be worth it? It's not.
I think, this is going to be a bit of a reoccurring beat, so I'm probably going to use this word quite a bit in this episode. The first word that comes to mind when I see Nobunaga in 5 is palatable. He's very palatable. He's a nice looking young man, and that's really about it.
And I'm gonna say this by talking about 4 for a little bit. Like, Nobunaga in 4 is sort of, because one of the problem with these Koei games is because they usually happen over a period of decades.
Mm-hmm.
You end up with characters who have to appear multiple times throughout over like a course of, I don't know, 40, 50 years. So they all just look the same no matter what, because in their defense, making new models for every character would be a bitch and a half.
It's a bit tougher with like characters who have adult children who are also in the game.
Yeah. It gets kind of funny in places, is the best way we can put it.
Yes.
But Nobunaga in his usual incarnation is how he usually is depicted, with like the facial hair and wearing armor, usually black, because we have to say that he's kind of the bad guy here.
And a cape.
And a cape, depending on which one we're talking about. 4 had a it was a very weird looking cape.
It was unusual. He's very distinctive looking.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like you see Nobunaga, that's Oda Nobunaga.
Mm-hmm. And this one looks not like that, but he starts younger. He does grow into that, so we'll at least give the game that.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll be nice there.
The game 5 had younger models and older models for a few key characters, notably Nobunaga and Mitsuhide. I think those were the only ones that actually got those.
Which is a shame, but...
Fucking bummeroo.
Yeah, bummeroony right there, baby! But, yeah, like, that idea as a concept would have been cool, would have been neat, we would have been more down with it. But the problem really is, with the new looks, is that certain characters got very different looks from what we were used to. Some of them we weren't mad about. Katsui.
Katsui looks, he's, what do they say? He's daddy. He's very daddy.
He's now very much a hot dad, versus, I guess, how he was, which was, ironically called Foxy Grandpa.
Like, for Katsui, like, that's a dad that can work a grill.
Yeah. He goes from looking like a dad to looking like a hot dad. That's not an improvement or a bad thing. It's just it's a move.
I do remember I streamed a bit of 5 on Twitch, and quite a bit of the chat was like lust for Katsui whenever he showed up, and I can't disagree with that.
Yeah, I don't think that was me, but I did say his new design was very fucky. I think I definitely know I said he was very fucky in your chat.
It's immensely fucky.
It is very fucky. Like they went like, you know what? Katsui's going to be hot. And
this is Katsui's hot girl summer.
Yes. And I want to mention, we say this because it's funny that that's what they did with him.
Because that's not what his character lends itself to immediately. He's a sad man.
Well, like, the thing is, like, Katsui is, like, the oldest person in the room for most of these scenes half the time. So it's kind of funny.
It's hilarious.
It's not a bad thing, it's just funny.
And on the other end of the spectrum, in terms of unexpected character changes, Stross, I want to talk about Ieyasu.
Go ahead. Let's talk about the Dutch boy.
Dutch boy.
Berries and cream. Berries and cream.
When I first saw, because in 4, Ieyasu, is he's one of the later stage unifiers, and he's typically portrayed as like a slightly stocky, kind of heavy set, baldy guy. He gets called Tanuki because he's a round, sturdy little fella.
The best way to describe it, he looks like somebody's dad, but
He
a
really
samurai.
does.
And we
Yes.
have no issue with this design.
It works for him.
Yeah.
It works for his character. It's
Yeah, in 4, when he appears in 4 specifically, we're just going to use 4 as the reference point, as the last traditional one.
mhm.
He is like the father to his group. So him
Yes.
looking like a dad makes sense. So what does he look like now?
He looks like a little Dutch boy.
He's a little baby. He's a little baby man.
No, little unifier of Japan, don't go into the weed cave. Oh my god!
Oh god, and it's a look.
He looks about 12 years old, and he has the bob cut with the bangs. He has the little He-Man page boy haircut.
Oh god.
He looks like a little dork.
He do. And the worst part is, he's kind of sort of based after a character who isn't appearing in this game. Sir, not appearing in this game. Poor Ron Maru, not here today. You are too baby for this game.
Too good for this sinful game.
Yeah, but it's a look.
And like when I first saw the drop on Twitter of like, yeah, this is Ieyasu's new look for 5, I laughed myself fucking stupid.
Yeah,
Just
I don't blame you.
it's so silly.
This
and
one's
so
we want to make it abundantly clear. We're only laughing about it because it's hilarious. Because it's like these are supposed to be the same characters, and they look not like. At least with Nobunaga, it's like you could kind of see how a younger Nobunaga would turn into that.
yes.
Like if you were to put the two pictures of them side by side, you could kind of see how one led to the other.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, this is baby faced one, him as like 23 versus 33,
Right.
whereas this one's just hilarious.
It's completely out of left field, and yeah. Though I will say, younger Hideyoshi, very cute.
Younger Hideyoshi works because they go from they kept the monkeyness aspect of his no. Hideyoshi, every time he has appeared in these games, is kind of monkey.
Yeah.
But, like, they kept the monkey mannerisms. They just got rid of all the facial hair and, made him look not 42.
Yeah, because he's still, like, limber and energetic and, kind of rowdy.
Yeah, I like, let's see, Azai, that was a lateral move. That barely changed anything.
Nagamasa's always kind of mid.
Yeah. Let's see, Toshie was basically unchanged.
It's just the same dude.
Yeah. Honda,
and I'm not complaining.
Yeah, Honda looked like, a younger version of how he appears in 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, not all of them were bad. I'm just gonna go down the list. Hanbei was literally completely unchanged.
I think, okay, Hanbei was basically the same, but I think they kind of like sucked all the fun out of him. He's very Guojia in this.
Well, like, the problem is he's not in it as much, so he doesn't have, like, his usual weird, like, relationship with other characters.
Yeah.
Let's see, Kanbei was completely different.
Very much so.
This was a Kanbei before he looked like death, which is I'm gonna say, downgrade.
And again, with the Dynasty Warriors comparison, he's just Jia Chang.
Yeah.
He's just Jia Chang.
Kind of boring. Matanari Mori. Actually, you know what? This one might have been an upgrade.
A serious upgrade. I thought he was great. I loved he looks like he's gonna give you like a Werther's hard candy, but it's gonna be poisoned.
I mean, I understand if you prefer the other one, that's fine. Like personality wise, that's fine.
No, I love 5 Motonari. I think he's great here.
I think both were good. So it's sort of like it's like having two great flavors of the same soda. It's like Coke and vanilla Coke.
Yes.
Where it's like they're both good. It's just one's different.
I think this one is a little more richly aged, and
this is the vanilla Coke. This is the vanilla.
Yes. One. It's like I like them both, but if I have to choose, he's a little more sinister, and I dig it. I wish Koei would do that more often.
Now his son, on the other hand. I mean, I wasn't very big on Kobayakawa anyways, so it doesn't hurt me.
Koei never does much with the Mori children, I feel like.
I mean, the problem is all the stuff with them would just be them fighting each other, so it's just like... It's not that exciting. It's exciting in the sense that it's interesting. For a game, it's like, you want to fight the same 3 people for 5 stages? And it not being interesting? There you go. Let's see. I wasn't a huge fan of what they did to our beloved Shingen Takeda.
No, it's a downgrade. Like
it's
like generally he looks fine, but Shingen in 4 I love a stout, jolly man who can just whip ass.
Yeah. Let's see. Hanzo Hattori is much funnier for one reason. One reason only is because he's always been played by Takeya Kuroda. And if you recognize that name, it's because that is the voice of Kazuma Kiryu.
I'm smiling so big right now, you can't see it, but I'm just grinning.
And the thing is, he's always played this character, by the way, so this is not new.
No.
But in 5, they're like, Yakuza's gotten real big in the West. Can you do more of the Kiryu voice?
Lean into it.
Lean into it a bit more than you've already been. And he was like, you son of a bitch, I'll do it.
Nani?
Dame.
And also, he looks very nice.
Yeah, this one, I was okay with this change. Because, like, Hanzo's look has always been kind of just whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, samurai ninja guy. Not really that interesting. Yeah. We were very... Okay, this change is fine. They put more color into it, which I liked.
Yeah. I thought the fox mask was neat.
Yeah. Let's see. What do you thought about what they did with Kenshin?
I like 4 better.
Yeah, I like 4's better because I like the fact that, like, instead of making... Because the problem I have when it comes to Kenshin, a lot of people do either actually lady or very androgynous, and Samurai Warrior's like, no, he's a guy. He's like a 50-year-old man.
I would love to see a Kenshin that, like, does, like, actually a lady, but she's also, like, super butch.
See, that would be more fun. They're never going to do it. Which is why we like 4's really much, because 4's is just like, nah, he's a guy.
He's just a dude.
It's just a dude who was forced to dress up by his older sister, who's crazy. Sadly, not appearing in this film.
We lost a lot of good ladies in 5.
We did. We'll get to that. We're gonna save that. I feel like we should save that for when we go full on complaining.
Yes.
Let's see who else was returning. Mitsuhide still basically same.
I think he was fine. I mean, I kind of liked the older version. I liked the white hair or whatever. I thought it was kind of an interesting look.
I also agree that the older version that they made for it, where they kind of gave him like white hair.
Yeah, kind of the shell-shocked look, you know.
Yeah. I think that's a cool idea, that part of it, but the design initially showed up, and it's like, yep, that's how they usually do Mitsuhide. That's how that character usually looks. Very unsurprising, I would say.
That's him.
Damn right, that's him. Hold on, let me see who else. I am looking at a list. Let's see. We liked what they did. The one character I will say who got an upgrade, a massive upgrade, and I think you will agree with me, was Imagawa Yoshimoto.
Yes, holy shit.
Because we do want to say the good things about this game too, so it's not just us completely. Because there are things about this game that we like, and this is one of them.
Oh, Yoshimoto was... Oh my god, he was so cool.
So, okay, to explain, Yoshimoto is kind of a victim of circumstance in these games.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because he sadly... Yoshimoto's most famous battle is the one he loses. And him losing it causes a whole bunch of shit to happen. And I think that's a fair point to state.
Yes.
So when he appears historically as this short, round, foppish kind of guy who talks like this.
He's just a hoo-hoo.
I would rather be playing sports.
And he's portrayed as like kind of stupid and ineffectual, and none of that's historically true, because like the real Yoshimoto was like there's a reason that Nobunaga like got some credit for defeating him.
Yeah, because the thing is, beating Yoshimoto was actually like a big deal. He was like, Nobunaga was the underdog. Yoshimoto was this big time daimyo from Totomi. And it was like, when he won, everyone's like, oh, damn. Everyone went,
Yeah.
Because it was big. It was like, oh my god.
It was kind of important.
Yeah. So the fact that Yoshimoto lost was a big deal. The problem is, like I said, like when your most famous moment is losing, it doesn't look good upon you centuries later.
Yeah. Yoshimoto's not been treated kindly in most of his portrayals, which was why 5 was so nice in this case.
He was a large, deep-voiced man who was large and intimidating.
He was fucking scary. I am a little afraid of that. I'm afraid of both Yoshimotos, actually, for different reasons, but...
Yeah, Forrest Yoshimoto had, like, secret evil in him, which was fun. We like secret evil, but, it never really does anything. Because he does.
But I like to see them do something different with him. That was fun.
And that was nice. This was, like, a massive improvement. That's not to say that we hated Forrest Yoshimoto. It's just, it was nice to see him get his flower.
Yes.
And he deserves it.
He does.
Oichi, this was... I would be mad about it, but this was closer to how she was in the first game, so it wasn't, like, out of the blue.
Yeah, you kind of expect it.
And, Oichi's one of those characters who's, like... There are two versions of her, is either young, happy girl... or older, like, my brother keeps doing things. And this was her first game portrayal, which was fine. We were cool with it.
Yeah, it was fine.
Yeah. Let's see who else. There was your boy Hisahide. How did you like this one?
Okay, Stross, what did you think of him? I'm curious to hear what you thought.
My thing with Hisahide, as someone who is not Hisahide's #1 fan, that is you, obviously. I wouldn't even be top 3, even if I tried. But, I'm okay with it. It's just like, they went for a different idea of him not being a total bastard. And I'm okay with that.
He's still a bastard. I just argue it's in a different way.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it. It's not my favorite version of him. I prefer Forrest because he's just almost like... He is almost a Looney Tunes character in 4, which I think is hilarious.
And also, his design in 4 is just So what the fuck?
It's so extra. In such an extra way. It is a very extra look.
And here
speaks to you specifically.
that that man is a tulpa constructed of my specific brain waves.
It's like how we designed a character just for you and literally no one else.
He's mine.
All mine. Now,
And I mean, I like to joke that 5 Hisahide is actually 4 Hisahide before Nobunaga like utterly humiliated him and made him just lose his shit.
not a bad idea.
I'm just picturing him crying and cutting his hair at 3 a.m. like, Nobunaga made me look stupid. I'm gonna kill him.
In the end, it's fine.
It works.
It's a lateral move, I would say.
I forgive them for how much more toned down he is because he gets a flamethrower in this.
Yeah.
So
you don't need to be as extra when you get to actually literally be able to set things on fire. Or you can be. Okay, we gotta talk about our favorite trash man real quick.
Yeah. Well, no, not Trash Man. Trash Man's father.
True. So, okay, this is
Trash
one of the...
Man Senior.
Yeah, this is Trash Man Senior, Saika Makoichi, who is a name of actually 3 separate people, by the way. So if we ever talk about them, it's a title, and this one is the dad of our trash boy. He our very trashy man.
Our trash man, our favorite trash man who we love so much.
Yeah. The man you find 3 a.m. dumpster diving for a new couch.
And it's not ever said explicitly that 5 Mago is 4 Mago's dad, but I like to think.
Yeah, I mean, this one's much more serious, so he's kind of boring.
He's a bit dull. He's gun guy. He's there to, be the Psycha mercenaries representative, and that's really about it. He's good looking.
Yeah. Well, okay, the reason why we say he's boring is because Magoichi historically is a womanizer, kind of trashy, like very self-aggrandizing. He's like, I'm the most handsome guy here.
And the ladies love me.
They do not.
No, they don't.
Most of them don't.
He looks kind of stinky, and that's why we like him.
But in, like, the hot way, not in the gross way. He's not gross.
Like, that's body spray stinky.
Yeah. Like, the guy who wears body spray, goes to the club to pick up women, sometimes works, probably doesn't. But, he's a guy. This one's just kind of, he doesn't have that, like, bit of personality of, like, being kind of a womanizer, which...
Yeah.
He lacks any real flavor. He is a saltine, whereas the other one is a saltine with cheese.
Bland, boring Mago Senior. If he was a spice, he'd be flour.
Yeah. I'm avoiding a very specific one we could be talking about. I know. You know who I'm mentioning. We'll get there. I feel like we will have to get there. So there was some new characters, and we should talk about them first. So I'm just gonna go through some of them. They added Iyasu's first wife, which is hilarious because she looks like she could be his hot mom.
She's a baddie. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh no, she looks great. I love her look.
Senna is Senna... And that's the thing. Senna is so fine, and then her husband looks like he's literally 12.
It's like, I'm married to this 12-year-old. Please kill me. Honda, like... I need a man in my life. Sorry, ma'am. I'm only 16. You're very large. I'll talk to Hattori instead.
Also, other character, like the character that I think most people were excited about, Yasuke.
Yeah, no,
We
that was
finally got
great.
Yasuke.
Yeah, that was one that we understood why they kind of avoided him for a while.
Yeah.
We want to mention the reason why they avoided Yasuke for so long is because it's a bit weird to have a guy who's usually the bad guy be the only one with a black person.
Yes.
Now, I think the big key to this that changed sort of the idea was Yasuke showed up in the Neo games and everyone thought he was neat because he is.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
And so everyone was like, well, I guess now it's time to put him in the game. And they did, and he's neat, and we like him.
And I really like how they handled his character because like I've gone through like all the Bond lines and stuff and everything, and he's very faceted, and you can tell, like, you know what? Give Koei some credit for this. They seem like they really took their time and like put some effort into making him an interesting and complicated character.
Yeah.
And I like him.
Yeah, I like him. I think it was a good pick. I'm glad that's what they did. They gave him one of the better movesets, which is nice.
Yes.
We'll talk more about that later. Let's see. There was Sandayo Momichi. I don't remember. You're a character.
He's a ninja guy. The only reason I know anything about him is because he interacts with Hisahide some in the game. He's kind of the obligatory like evil ninja. He's taking the place of Kotaro here, I think, in that, you know, he's a little more morally dark gray. He's boring. He's fucking
unlike
boring.
Kotaro, who is a juggalo, this one's just a guy. It's true.
Yeah.
Let's see. Toshimitsu Saito is also here.
There are a lot of new introductions, and most of them are just, yep, okay.
Well, like, Toshimitsu was another character who was kind of brought in from the Neo games because the Neo games were highly successful and fun, and he's in those ones, so he's just basically that. Let's see, Nakamura. You're an original character, I believe.
Original character, do not steal. Oh, the other original character,
hold on.
Mitsuki.
We're gonna talk about her last because we actually like her. There's also Shikanosuke Yamanaka, another character that exists.
He exists and he gets lots of fan art drawn about him because he is a attractive man in his early 20s.
Yep.
And he has a visor with deer horns. I don't give a shit about him.
Nah, I don't either. He is here. Congratulations. Sena, Yasuke, and now Mitsuki, who we're going to complain some about, but we're going to start this off by saying we actually like her.
I began with complicated feelings about her. Now my feelings are uncomplicated.
Like, our answer is we wish you were in a different game because you deserve better. Our poor baby. You deserve to be in the one that we like and not the one that we have complicated, long feelings about.
I put her in the same league as Naotora.
Mm-hmm.
Not to the same degree, but
we should probably explain that because I don't think we've ever talked about Naotora on this one before. So
oh shit, you're right.
I know what you mean because we've spent I don't know how many hours discussing this in call alone. I'm not talking about via text. We've also done this via text, but via us talking now. Naotora is a lady who was introduced not in 4, kind of. She was introduced in one of the weird like spin-off ones, I think.
Yeah.
Let me look. She was introduced in Musou Chronicles 2nd.
She was a real female samurai. She was like a person that existed, which is cool.
And she's neat. But Koei writes her in a way that we're not super happy with. Most of the time.
For context, she's also appeared in the Dead or Alive games.
I would say that's a big insult, but Kula Diamond's also in the Dead or Alive games, and that's way less bad.
Yeah, but now Tora's basically heinously objectified by Koei.
That part is true.
She, like, one of her things is like that she got this armor handed down to her from her grandfather that was very skimpy, and he told her it was like the E family ceremonial armor, so she wears it even though she's very uncomfortable with being so exposed. And she's very, very shy and timid, and I hate every second she's on screen, not because I hate her, but because I hate what they are doing to her.
I think the way we put it is that we've decided she is mom core, and she deserves a big comfy sweater and some sweatpants and a nice like cup of tea.
Yes.
And like a nice cake.
Like now Tora is not a bad character. She is just poorly treated.
I think what really I think shifted our opinions of her was when 4-2 came out. Mm-hmm. And she interacted with her like nephew / stepson, because
her adopted son, basically,
it is her cousin or something. They're actually related, but she's basically like his embarrassing older sister / mom, and we were like,
it's very sweet.
It's very cute, and we're like, oh, more of this. This is fun. Because
I would love more of that.
The reason why we like it is because there's a lot of like older female characters in the earlier from like 1 to 4 in this series, but there wasn't one that covered. There's like nice mom, there's crazy mom, there's hot mom who is still like hot enough to where if she buys you your clothes, it's still considered cool.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's a really obscure Homestar Runner reference I just put in there. Like, wow, hi, Gene. Wow, weird reference there. But point is, she filled in a one that we didn't have, which was embarrassing mom, but still hot.
Yes.
And we were like, this is good. More of this, please. And sadly, we didn't get any of this, or her in general. So
we have not been fed. Koei is starving us because it's a cruel parent.
This is true. But Mitsuki is in this vein of being like a character that we generally like. We think her design is generally fine. They objectify her a little bit too much, but she has freckles, and we're like, yeah, no, put freckles on.
She's a cute, spunky redhead with freckles who punches people.
Is incredibly stupid.
I love that in a girl.
Yeah.
I love a stupid girl.
Everything about her is great, other than the game and story that she's in. We want to rescue her from this story, put her in 4 where she belongs, and would be happier.
I remember playing 5, and the first intro scene we get of her, she's up in a tree, and she's like, stretching, limbering up, getting ready, and like the camera zooms in on her butt, of course, and does like the obligatory like, fan service pan over her, and I'm just thinking like, leave her alone, get a job.
Yeah.
Because I like her.
And she's also a dumpster baby, which is really funny.
Yes, she is. Like an actual technical dumpster baby. And also spoilers for 5. Can I go into spoilers?
Go ahead.
She's Nobunaga's niece.
Yeah, she thinks daughter, and he's like, "What?
No."
He says her like, "That's impossible. Shut the fuck up, kid." Which is great.
If you were actually
great
my
dynamic.
child, I would treat you so much worse.
It's just like the problem with her is that the game objectifies her a shocking amount. But other than that, she's fine. We like her as a character. We like her moveset. We will like her and Yasuke to be taken from this game and put in a better one.
Yes. Like I hope that
Senna too.
When...
I don't want to forget Senna also deserves better.
Yes, Senna also deserves better. Like if and when they go back to like the mainline Samurai Warriors, i.e. 4 and the rest of it, which I hope to God they do.
I think they're going to. I don't think 5 did. I don't think 5 did well enough for them to continue this path.
I want them to take Yasuke from there and just put him in the mainline story.
Just have him be there and be like, ah, Yasuke, hey, my friend. Hello, master, I'm here to do samurai things. You need someone punched to death?
Yes. Yasuke, you've been here the whole time. Yes, I have.
You're looking rather dashing. Thank you, sir. I've been working out. Marvelous. But yeah,
overall,
there is one character we haven't talked about, and I think it's time to get into. I would say the character who represents kind of all the problems with this game. And I want to say, when I say this, sometimes when you get a product and you have a thing about it that is emblematic or a microcosm of all the other problems, look no further for this game than our sweet beloved No. And
now,
we should mention that is actually her name.
Yes, her name is No.
It is spelled N-O and pronounced that way.
With a little accent over it.
To tell you it's a long O, so it is how you're supposed. So it is like the word no instead of something else.
And okay, I feel like a good place to begin with this is let's talk about No in 4. Stross, do you want to do the honors?
Yes, I would like to talk about Mom.
Please tell us about No in 4.
No, from 1 through 4 is Nobunaga's wife and is famous for being very pretty. So, number 1, they make her very hot because because she's literally referred to in history as drop dead gorgeous, or at least folklore wise. And we're cool with this. We believe in sexy.
Yes.
And throughout the whole thing, she is what can be best described as a vamp.
Yes.
She is hot. She is got that voice, and she acts like a bitch. She's
dangerous.
She will stab you. And the whole thing with her is that she's may or may not kill her husband. She never does.
But it's like I want to specify too, because it's not the heterosexual kind of like, oh, I hate my spouse, I could just kill them.
No. It's the interplay.
It's a very sexy kind of wanting to kill your spouse. It's a mutual. There's consent there. Nobunaga's like, I want you to kill me too.
It is a very much a case of both these people might kill each other, but it's going to be the sexiest way possible.
There's a very clear, strong mutual attraction there.
It is the interplay of sex and violence, and we're here for it.
Nobunaga and No remind me of like the scene couple you'd see at the mall, like one's walking the other on a leash. But it's like actually hot.
Yeah. Like, they can be best described that they're hot. She's supposed to be hot. And in this one, and I think this is really, like, part of, I think, the core of the issue is that they took all the sexiness out of her.
They defanged her.
They made her just pretty.
They made her a tsundere.
I wouldn't even say a tsundere. That would require a lot more personality.
Yeah, it's more like what's the one where like they're cold to you, but they secretly like it? The kudere?
I don't know, but she goes from Ice Queen to not as Ice Queen, and it's not as fun as you think it is.
He's the only boy who can make me laugh.
Which would be fine, normally, if you had more personality. No.
But she becomes she's a shonen love interest. She's the one girl on the team in a shonen manga, and
I
she's gonna.
I think really what you just said kind of is the point, which is it's a shonen now.
Yeah,
And
it's a shonen.
5 is a shonen, but not like a good one. But it like has all the hallmarks of one. Like here's the main love interest who doesn't do anything, and is just there to worry about the protagonist. You have all of these other characters that don't do a whole lot and are just kind of here because they're here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have ultimately said, and we've been dancing around the real problem with this game and its writing, is that it is sexless.
It is utterly sexless.
Like,
it is.
I think we have to preface this by saying 4 is surprisingly horny.
It's raunchy in places.
Yeah.
It surprises you.
Like, Samurai Warriors 5 is the boring, basic bitch battle shonen version of Samurai Warriors. Would you say that is fair?
Oh, absolutely.
And the problem is, when you do that, it's boring. And
Samurai Warriors 5. Sorry.
no, Sarah, and the problem is when you do that is that it. You know what it reminds me of?
Huh.
Like anytime I see a character from Fairy Tail, or
Yeah.
or what else is there? Any like moderately popular shonen that has no real flavor to it, like Black Clover.
Yeah.
Anyway, you were about to
Like,
say.
oh, it's. I feel like 5 is like a beautifully plated, wonderful looking steak. Great cut of meat. Great thing to, great bones to work with. But you cut into it, and it's completely overcooked and dry, and like desiccated on the inside. There's no juice.
None. There is no juice.
But you feel like you have to enjoy it, so like you eat this beautiful looking steak, and it's just like chewing a hockey puck.
Like the problem is and the reason why we say it has no real flavor to it is that we need to talk about how Samurai Warriors 4 kind of plays out, because this game just gets absolutely bonkers in places.
Oh, it's such a
Like, I think the best way to put it is when you're playing it for the first time is that you play like the Otis story, and it just opens up with Nobunaga being like, I'm gonna win this. Everyone's like, okay, boss. Oh god, we're gonna die.
And I love Nobunaga in 4. Like the reason all of our disappointments with 5, I feel like, are magnified because Nobunaga in 4 is so damn good. He's weird. Nobunaga in 4 is a freak.
Yeah.
Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, he's just kind of weird the entire time.
Like he stares very intensely at people, like unblinkingly. And he has this very deep baritone voice. and he's
intimidating.
He's a scary dude, but he's kind of funny too.
He's scary in that way that can only be best described as this guy is weird, but fun. He's fun weird.
He's just a silly, goofy guy. He'd pick up a piece of wax fruit and just bite into it and stare you dead in the eye the whole time.
Yeah. And the thing is, what we're really trying to say is that, like, the problem is that they took a character that is very much kind of a weird oddball in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of just made him generic.
And I think too, part of it was because, and we're gonna go into spoilers again, because we haven't talked about the thing. We talked about No, but we didn't talk about the thing that made me angriest with No.
Oh yeah.
Was that they try to kind of give Nobunaga like a reason why he turned evil in 5 by having No killed.
Which is odd as a like, we need to begin by saying this is a weird choice for several reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Before it gets into why we're mad about it, for like writing purposes, it's just weird because No doesn't die there.
No,
No,
she doesn't.
which is like the weird part. Like, before we get even into the reason why we're mad about it, it's just why?
That literally doesn't happen in any other game, and there's no reason for her.
Real life.
She presumably died around the same time as Nobunaga.
At the same place. More or less likely that's what happened.
Which is way more romantic.
Yeah, it's way more romantic and way more sexy.
But here it's she. Anyway, okay, we're gonna talk about why we're mad at it, because
Yeah.
I'm words are failing me.
It's fair.
But it's you know, it is the year of our Lord 2023.
Mm-hmm.
And there is no fucking reason, like, why are you still killing off the female love interest to like fuel the dude's rampage? First of all.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those cases of just like they kill her off to like fuel fuel Nobunaga's Start of Darkness, which is just like, this is the
really.
I feel like the inherent problem with this is just that, like, that's the fact that they had to do that is inherently part of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like,
it's shown in logic.
Yeah, it's a shonen logic. Like, something has to like make him evil, but it's just like, because you made him a shonen protagonist, he can't be evil.
Ow.
Which is lame.
And there's no emotional torque to it. It's just, it's infuriating, but not for the reason that you're mad that it happened for the characters. You're just pissed that it happened, that the writers had the nerve to do it.
It just feels generic. And that, we thought we were past this.
And also, like, Nobunaga doesn't seem like he would need a Start of Darkness, because it's not that he's evil or that he's, you know, oh, something made him. Nobunaga is unconventional and rebellious, and that's kind of like, that's his thing. He goes against the grain. He's that Riverdale quote. In case you haven't noticed, he's weird. Why do you think he's always wearing this cape? That's weird. He's off the beaten path, and that's same holds historically. That was kind of what he was known for.
Yeah. And like, that's the problem with this game, is that because it's such a generic shonen a lot of the times, that like it has to contort to making things make sense in the long term. And that's what leads to this problem in the first place.
And it's so unnecessary.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess contrast that. I mean, so that's the reasons that 5 disappointed us. But you know, what does it say about 4 and its tone?
Well, like, I always felt like the inherent difference is that 4 understood that these people are weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everyone's because there's so many characters, and the idea is all these characters are going to be, like, appealing to different people, everyone's a flavor.
Yeah.
It's like going to a soda fountain, but, like, one of those newfangled ones, which has, like, 40 flavors.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, hell yeah, I want Orange Julius.
Yeah, there's, and they're all very distinctive.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very passionate game too. Like, emotions run very high
Even the characters
in all directions.
we don't care much for, and there are some characters that we don't like. But we're gonna be fair, and there's some characters in 4 that we're not big fans of.
Yeah.
But like, even them, they get their moments, and we're like, no, that's good. I like that.
Like, even in 4, like, I don't think there's a whole lot of characters where I go, oh, this fucking guy.
Or who? Oh yeah, you're here. There's not a lot of, oh, you're here.
Because, like, everything kind of works.
Yeah. Like, my biggest problem is, by comparison, and the reason why I vastly still prefer 4, is that, well, 5 is really fun to play.
It's a super fun game, and it's a beautiful game.
Yeah, no, it looks great, it plays great. In fairness, I still think 4 plays really great too. Like, it builds on 4 in a way that I think is really good.
5 is a great game to play if you don't give a shit about the story and the characters.
Or if you're unlike us and have way too much emotional investment already in them.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's also part of it.
Yeah.
And that one's our own fault. We will be the first to admit.
That's an us problem.
This is an us problem. But I think the best way for us to put it is that we wished these characters were better.
I just want an ounce of life in them. Just a smidge.
Because, like, I think what we hate about 5 in full is that it's sexless, it's generic, and, like, any of the hope that we had was dashed. Because, like, there's a version of this game that's really good and we like it.
Yes.
But, like, the version that we got is just kind of bland. It's like plain yogurt.
Mm-hmm.
And just plain yogurt.
No toppings.
And not even, like, the Icelandic yogurt. Or Greek yogurt. It's just yogurt.
Yeah, just watery, tepid yogurt.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just like, if you were to ask us our opinions on 4 in full, we're not going to give this here. We'll do a different episode for that, I think.
Uh-huh.
Because I realized I think we both kind of know deep down if we did a full one of both games, 4 would be here for a long time.
That would be a very long episode.
It would be the longest episode. By way too long. We mean it.
But 4 made me feel things. 4 made me feel happy and sad, and it made me just, laugh at the audacity in places, and it's just it's enjoyable.
Also in turn, because the cast is so big, you can tell a lot of different stories. Because, like, unlike Dynasty Warriors, the Samurai Warriors cast isn't that big. Like, it's big, but it's not so big to the point where, like, you can't focus enough.
And it's divided into these smaller groups that you can kind of see, like, I feel like Ujiyasu and Friends is a great example of, like...
Like, all the stuff with the Hojo is, like, exactly your point. It's like, here's a very, like, a family drama with, like, Uechi Asu's sons and his daughter and this one girl that he's with all the time. She's
Yeah,
my
and
favorite. And she's
the
not
best.
in 5, and that is instantly a demerit.
I'm sad she wasn't in 5, but also, like, I'm kind of glad she wasn't because I'm
She
glad they
would
didn't, like,
be way too much
deface her.
flavor. Well, yes, but she'd be way too much flavor for 5.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Kai is too much flavor for 5.
That's way too spicy for 5.
God, yeah.
But
Definitely.
you've got kind of these smaller units that they kind of build interactions with, and it's so nice to see because you just I don't know, I liked the writing. It's not fantastic, groundbreaking, Emmy-winning writing, but it's nice. It's not gonna win it's not gonna win a Grammy,
It's not
but
gonna win a Streamy or something from the Video Game Awards or anything like that. But
but
I think what it does well is that it just nails what it needs to nail.
yeah.
Like, Oda Nobunaga's a weirdo, but he's intimidating and cool. Check.
And he does drag.
Yeah, because he's a
He confirms.
weirdo. Mitsuhide is, like, just sick of this shit. He's not my
He's also,
favorite,
like,
but I get it.
he's a very straight-laced good boy, but, like, he's got some toughness under that, and maybe he's figuring out, hey, fuck this job, actually.
But also,
Um,
like, that straight-laced good boyness is, like, much more palatable because he's kind of the only one.
Yeah, he balances it out. Like, he's really the only one in that group who's, like, normal.
Yeah. He's the only one who's, like, just a normal, like, a relatively normal person trying to do a thing, surrounded in a sea of fucking freaks and weirdos.
Also, he's a dad, so that helps.
Yeah, and his daughter is here, and we love her.
And she's adorable.
She uses Christian magic.
She has the power of God and anime on her side.
Indeed she does. And we love it.
And also, Hisahide is there, maybe for too much of it. A lot of people say he got way too much screen time. I don't care.
You're the only person who said he should have gotten more.
I think the whole game should have been about him. I could just...
In honesty, I can understand if he wasn't your flavor, you would get sick of him very quickly in the Oda story.
Yeah, I completely understand the people who don't like him, but I could watch this dickhead forever.
Yeah, we want to preface this that this is Sardo going, this is my flavor, I love this.
He's my rum raisin ice cream.
Yes.
You don't like him, more for me.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just like, I think what we're trying to say about 4 and why 5 fails is that because it's not that it's focused, it's not that it's who they focus on, it's just that they stripped away all the really... Do you know about the Painted Ladies of San Francisco?
I believe I've heard about that. Fill me in.
Okay, so one of the things that a lot of people have been complaining about in my hometown of San Francisco, shout out to the city by the bay, is there are a bunch of old Victorian-styled houses that had been painted with all these wacky colors over the years. They were called the Painted Ladies. Now, they weren't originally painted that way, but a lot of these houses gained personality, and, like, a lot of these other residential houses in turn became very brightly colored. And as the city has been, like, taken over by annoying tech bros that I want them to leave and die, as you do.
Yes.
They've been buying up the houses and stripping off all the paint and painting them white.
Motherfuckers.
And that is what this game is like.
Yeah.
It is the it's the shonen-based gentrification of a video game.
It's palatable. It's so palatable, and I mean that in a negative way.
Exactly. It is very, like, oh, this looks neat. If, like, you came into it and you're like, oh, I was fine with it, that's totally fine. There's nothing inherently wrong about it.
It is a very decent game.
Yeah.
Just on its own.
Yeah, if you wouldn't have any issue with it until you played a different one, and then you're like, oh wow, there's all these characters. They all have like brash personalities, and these weren't exactly like games that weren't like full of hot-blooded characters who were like shonen-y beforehand anyways. I mean, there is the king of the jockstrap himself, Toyohisa.
Which one?
I was going
Mazu.
Sorry, if you have not been there for when one of us has streamed this game and we've talked about it at the same time, you would not you would not know. But
if you like Twunks, you should play Samurai Warriors 4.
Quite a few of them,
there's
actually.
a few of them.
There's quite a few actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's if you like old buff men, that too. And also, we just lost a lot of women. I think
we did.
I think. Hold on, I have to count this out. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 women's in this game of Samurai Warriors 5.
4 whole women.
And let's see. In the first game, we introduced 1, 2, 3, 4. First game had 4 women. Do you know who those were? Can you guess?
Nohime, Oichi,
Jack and Jack.
Nene?
No.
Nene wasn't in.
You're close though.
The
other
Kunoichi.
Yes, and who was the final? This is a character who also doesn't appear in 5, and probably for the best.
Ina.
No, it was Okuni. Okuni is a character who does. Ina did appear in 1, but in Extreme Legends.
Okay.
Which is a little cheating. Which is a little bit cheating. I'm not gonna lie.
Yes, that is cheating.
It's cheating a little bit, but yeah. So by the end of the first game's lifespan, which it had 3 female characters, they would introduce Nene in the second game. Same with Gracia. So, like, I think our ultimate feelings on 5 is we're just disappointed.
I think Samurai Warriors 5 needs to write an apology letter to all women.
Yes, to all women. And we will take Senna, Yasuke, and Mitsuki, and we will put them in a different game.
Yes, we will be keeping those characters.
You can keep those. All the other new characters you introduced are just boring, and you can do what you want with them. We don't care.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, they can die or not. We don't give a shit. They're boring.
I think I'm thinking of like how 4 felt. 4 felt like a soap opera.
Yeah,
like a soap opera, except they're fighting a war too.
Yeah. I think the best way we could put it is 4, which we will one day talk about in full, which will be another insanely rambly episode. More than this one. You've been warned. But 4, I think the best way to put it is we felt 4 is like it has a lot of flavor. And even if you didn't like every character, there's at least somebody in there that you would like. And was your favorite. There's one that would be your Scrungly Bingus.
And it delights in its own silliness. This game knows that it's a bit silly.
There's no point where this game makes you go, man, I'm embarrassed to be here. This game's like, no, we know what we're doing.
You know what you signed on for.
We're gonna have this weirdo motherfucker who acts like a badass the entire time be way too into mochi.
We have this, you see this ninja here, he's also a juggalo.
He talks about chaos all the time.
And he loves dogs.
Yeah. And
I love 4, sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it.
My conclusion is that after this is done, I want to go play some Samurai Warriors 4.
Hell, you want to? We might do that together. Actually,
that sounds like a great idea.
Let's go do that. Okay, folks, we're gonna go do that. We're gonna go do something fun for once in our lives and go do that. Basically, don't buy 5. It's not really worth it. It's not bad, but unless you're here just for gameplay, it's not really worth it. Play's great though. Like,
you should play 4. 4
Yeah.
still holds up really well.
yeah, it still looks pretty damn good, which is impressive.
And you can make your own character.
Yeah. I mean, they don't always do that, but sometimes they do. Depends on the game. But yeah, this is Stross and Sardo saying, we really, really like Samurai Warriors 4, not 5. Almost said 5. That would have been hilarious. That would have been a horrible mistake.
Wow, Stross, that's a surprising twist.
The twist, Shyamalan has nothing on me.
Oh.
But yeah, everyone, once again, thank you all for listening to us ramble for about 80 minutes. Oh Lord, was it 80 minutes?
You could have watched a feature-length film.
No, you couldn't have. You could have watched The Land Before Time, though.
True.
That one's 60 minutes. We're going to talk about that someday.
Maybe.
It'd probably be in the greater Don Bluth discussion, I think. It's a 60. It's like a 60-minute movie. There's not a lot to talk about.
Yeah. Well, that's something to think about for the future.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's been good talking.
Yeah.
You can find Stross at Almighty Stross.
You can
on
find
Twitter.
Sardo at Autopsy Garlands on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
See what I did there?
Yes. I am at and I'm at Uncle Death with a K, not a C, on the Twitch. I stream on Wednesdays. Stross also streams not on Wednesdays.
No, I do other stuff on Wednesdays, but I do stream Tuesday, Thursday, Sundays at Almighty Stross on Twitch.com. And hey, yeah, sometimes you see Sardo there.
Yeah,
maybe
I do once in a while.
Yeah, maybe even tomorrow. It doesn't help for you listening to this on Monday, but maybe. If he wants to. He's invited.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah. And officially speaking, all of our episodes will soon be uploaded to RSS feed, Podbean, Spotify, and several other places.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, once I have enough money to pay for more of it.
All right.
These platforms cost money. Because
that they do.
You can give us money. I have a Patreon, apparently. I forget that I have it.
Support Stross.
On Patreon. What is even my Patreon? Hold on. I don't even remember what it's called.
I also have a coffee account at also at Autopsy Garlands.
Yeah.
If you want to, support the good fight, and by the good fight I mean this podcast.
This podcast in which we fight against our greater nature to complain about these games for way longer than we should. Let's see. What is my Patreon? Well, I know I have one. I got one before they changed. That's at my full on. That's at But Makes Things.
And if you donate, let's do a stretch goal of $1,000. If we get $1,000 donated, I will fly out to where Stross lives and fist fight him in a Denny's parking lot.
I will have to find a Denny's near me.
That is my solemn promise to you, good listeners.
It will probably turn into a slap fight. A very fake
Probably
one.
so.
But folks, there you go. If you give us enough money to buy plane tickets, we will do that.
Hell yeah.
And then we'll record a podcast about it. Or something. I don't know.
We'll figure it out.
Bye!
Good night, everybody.